Greetings. This is presentation for ACE orientation website, American Culture and English Program orientation website. So first of all, I want to explain why I chose this project. This project is meaningful for me. I have been a part of the American Culture and English Program for the last 5 years, so I wanted this project not just to fulfill the assignment requirement, but to build something useful, a tool or website for my colleagues and students. So I also thought that it would be a good idea to practice to work with subject matter experts and try to accommodate their needs and desires. It ended up being a bit more difficult than I anticipated it to be. So my target users are Miami University freshmen, conditionally admitted international American culture and English students who meet all the admission requirements except for the English language proficiency. So they spend the semester at the American culture and English language program, upon successful of which they transition to the regular classrooms. So the objectives were for my students to locate and select necessary reference materials. I want to emphasize that it's not an online course. It's not even a blended course. It's a resource course. So that's the major goal, to put necessary reference materials on the website so students and their academic advisors would be able to go to certain links or to certain training modules, locate the necessary materials and go through them. So I wanted my students to be able to identify program policies and procedures, articulate and interpret major program policies, and demonstrate the understanding. Practice using those reference materials in everyday to-day situations, and apply the learned information to class registration, classroom behavior, and academic performance. So the objectives for the project were to develop ELL-friendly website for ACE orientation that can be used by students and their academic advisors. That meant designing and adapting learning experiences that incorporate digital Canvas tools and resources to engage students. So I tried to do different things to accommodate for different learners. Some of the module pages have lengthy reading materials, and they are not meant to be read by students. So they are there more for their academic advisors, because many times students would come to an academic advisor with the same question over and over, and so I put those frequently asked questions and answers on those web pages, so the advisors would direct students to a particular part. So they are not meant for students to read every single thing that's on the page. I wanted to create and organize the materials that could contribute to international student success in the ACE program and beyond. So my design should enable students to pursue at their individual pace and become active participants in managing their own learning and assessing their own progress. So I encountered a few challenges. So first of all, I tried to design the website for two very different types of audiences. One of them is American culture and English advisors who are native speakers and who need many resource links and websites, and who can handle reading. And my target audience is also ACE students. They are international students with limited English proficiency, so they cannot really handle long, lengthy readings, and they can easily get lost in that. So that was a big challenge, to organize the materials, not to overwhelm the students, but yet provide enough information that the advisors can use to advise those international students. So I also create the modules for different types of learnings, for face-to-face learnings. For example, my first two modules are meant to be supplemental for face-to-face orientation sessions. That's why they contain the PowerPoint presentations that the students listen to during the orientation sessions, and some of the Kahoot activities that students participate in, as well as the game, the quest game that students play during the orientation session. So this information there is supplemental, so that it is meant to be used after those orientation sessions and as a reference so students can go back, they can recollect what they did during the orientation sessions and find some information to the questions they may have forgotten. Some of the modules, for example, module 3 and 4, are meant to be more as blended learning and online learning. So my third challenge was to work with content area specialists and stakeholders. I didn't realize that it would be such a difficult task. So first of all, I worked with the ACE program director who was incredibly helpful. So she was my content area specialist. She provided me with the information that she wanted to see on the website. I also worked with some of the ACE advisors. Then some of the modules were designed in collaboration with Ronell and Cass. So in fact, they designed some of the modules for American English and Culture program and had to get the permission to adapt those modules for international students with limited English speaking abilities. So the methodology that I used Eddy model. I tried to build the activities based on Bloom's taxonomy, Horton's absorb, do, and connect activities, Edgar Dale's hierarchy of instructional strategies, Erickson's 8 stages of development, social learning. That's why I incorporated a discussion in one of the modules. Also tried to use Vygotsky's communicative approach to learning and so gamification helps in doing that. I also tried to incorporate problem-based learning where students solve particular cases, apply their knowledge to judge whether academic misconduct has taken place or not. I tried to use universal design. That was very important because I had 2 different types of audiences, and I tried to build the website that would be appealing and usable for both. And I also tried to incorporate effective visuals. So my process, I started with needs analysis. I talked to my content area specialists. I interviewed my subject matter experts, and then I collected the materials that they had and they designed the materials having their objectives and goals in mind. So once I created the draft of my website, I conducted some beta testing and made revisions based on the feedback. And finally, I conducted summative evaluation, and then I made revisions after that. Again, so I revised this website many times. So what did I manage to accomplish? So I organized the materials into modules that would allow users to easily access them and learn as a group or individually at their own pace. So with my pages, I tried to create some kind of learning environments so students would focus on a particular topic, on a particular theme. That's why some of my pages link to mini modules that students would complete again independently or as a group. So this website, these pages are not designed to be followed in a particular sequence, and not all the students would need to complete all the modules. So again, this website is more of a reference website, so students and the advisors can choose and pick the materials, the links, the resources, the activities, the assessments that they need. So I try to cater to individual needs here. I incorporate different tools and media. I created videos, cartoons, games, presentations to make learning more engaging and fun. For example, I got a comment that navigation is challenging, and I tried to incorporate, I tried to do that to make some revisions. First of all, I recorded an introductory video for each of the pages that would help and explain the navigation. Then I added some navigation buttons, and I added my own navigation map at the end of each page, so the students would go that would take students to the major modules. So I included the elements of active and social learning in discussion boards and games. I checked my website for accessibility and made it compliant. I used subtitles, bullet points, fonts and sizes. I made sure that the contrast is good, that all the external links have descriptions, and that my videos have an option of closed captions. All the images have their alternative description, so if I could embed the image and hide those alternative description, I did it. If the website didn't allow, Canvas didn't allow me to do that, so I just put it on the website, the alternative description of an image. And I don't mean decorative images, I mean the navigation buttons and such. So I made provisions for ELL learners. I tried to make descriptions and instructions easy to understand. Again, I got a comment that some of the readings are very long on the pages, so I tried to make them shorter, and I tried to use the vocabulary that would be a bit easier for international students to understand. And ironically, it's not necessarily neutral vocabulary. Our international students are used to dealing with academic vocabulary, and I try to get rid of some phraseological expressions, idiomatic expressions, and make this language easier for my target audiences. So I designed I designed assessments for each of the modules. Again, there is a quiz, a content-based quiz at the end of each module. It's not very creative. The goal of this website is not to provide a particular type of learning. It's more to be a resource so students can find the information they need. So those quizzes simply check for comprehension, so whether students can understand everything that's all the documents and videos that are there on the website or not. So that is why most of the quizzes have unlimited attempts, and students need to score 60% to pass. Some of the videos are more important than the other because, for example, before the class selection and registration, students would need to complete some advising modules. So when they come to meet with their academic advisor to select and register for classes, they would know what classes they want to take, at least approximately, so they would have an idea. So I made the website, I tried again to make the website visually appealing. I tried to use different images, incorporate, including my own photos. I tried to use different colors. I know that some students are colorblind and it might not work for everybody, but all my colors are compliant with accessibility standards, so the contrast is there. And even if the students won't be able to see the colors, they would be able to see the contrast. So my data collection methods, I conducted informal, conversational, and interview guide type of interviews with my subject matter experts and with the users. I conducted fixed response surveys, mostly with my users. I also conducted observations. I observed my students interact with the website, and I recorded their comments and tried to pay attention to their reactions, the immediate reactions. It's sort of speak aloud protocol. I also, my website was also reviewed by subject matter experts, and we conducted one-on-one reviews, small group evaluation, and field trial and evaluation. I can say that field trial was not, we used the field trial for some of the activities. For example, the quest was tried during the spring orientation with their intended group of with the intended students, so it was quite a success. But some other elements, since the website was not ready, some other elements didn't go through the field trial. So they will go through the field trial in the fall of 2019. In the conclusion, I don't think that there is a conclusion. I think that the website is an ongoing process. I would say that it's just a start. It's a place for international students, international students and their academic advisors to go to and find the information. But I did some changes and revisions based on the feedback. I added more presentations and developed the quiz for Module 1. I recommended to the ACE director not to make all pages available right away in order not to overwhelm students, but let them work at a module at a time. I also tried to ease the navigation. For example, I hid the modules from their navigation panel, from the Canvas navigation panel on the left. I also hid the files, so students would have to go will have to work on a page at a time. So again, I tried to add the interactive activity to advising model that would give students additional practice with matching a class with a major or a track. But this activity is not finished, and collaboration with guest advising would be useful in that, but again, we kind of ran out of time. I couldn't get the collaborations proved to be relatively complicated and difficult because everybody works in their own timeline and their own time schedule, so I couldn't get enough information from CAS to complete this activity, so it's not there yet. That's my plan to add to the website. And again, I added useful resources to Module 1 to help students identify additional support when necessary. Some of these resources are there in Module 4, but I put them on the front page because, again, that's based on the frequently asked questions. And again, this website, this resource website is an ongoing project. There are just so many things that need to be done, completed, added to, and finished, but I hope that it will be a good resource for international students and their advisors. And now let me briefly guide you from my to my website. So here I briefly introduced what students can find on this website. It's basically an introductory page. It has the link to American English and Culture program. I don't think it's for the students, it's more just to provide the context. So I added the navigation video that will explain for the students what to expect from this website. And there's my navigation map that would take students to particular pages. So if they click on a page, it will take them there. So that's the technology overview. I'm sure that some of the students would be new and Canvas would be fairly new for them, but Canvas is super easy to navigate. But I included the links regardless. And I also put here navigation buttons that would kind of guide students to different types of activities. So this arrow would link to the first module. We can get to the first module here, or I can go back to my navigation map and click here. That would take me to the first page, to the first module. So this module is about American culture and English program. And I included some of the learning outcomes for the students so they would know what to expect from this page. And again, that's the navigation video that would, again, summarize what students would learn on this page and would guide them how to do that. So the students are going to play Kahoot during the orientation, so I included some of the information about this tool so students can preview that, they can learn how to use the tool in advance, or if the students miss the orientation session, for example, they would know how to play those Kahoots that the students played during the orientation session. Again, this module is designed as a supplemental module to face-to-face instruction during the orientation meeting. So this is the link to the ACE presentation the students would listen to during the orientation session and some of the frequently asked questions and the answers to them. Again, this information is mostly for advisors because students come with the same questions, so the advisors could direct them to a particular area on the page to help them answer those questions. Again, this Kahoot 2 was played during the orientation session with the students, but they can access it here when they want to prepare for a quiz, for example. So these are the links to useful resources. Again, if we click on any of these links, it will take us to a particular page. That could be used by students or their academic advisors. I try to highlight them so students would find some of the information themselves, so they wouldn't need to go to the academic advisors necessarily. For example, if they are looking for intercultural connection or student counseling services. But again, if they would like to talk to the academic advisor could go to this page and direct them to this particular places. Again, I'm going to click on subject area tutoring and it would take me to Reneller Learning Center page, need a tutor, and here students could click and find a tutor and try to have that. This is an assessment, that's the quiz about the ACE policies and the ACE program in general. I included my navigation map at the end of the page because these modules are not designed to be taken or to be learned in a particular sequence. For example, the student came to work with an academic advisor and to talk about subject area tutoring, for example. So they talked about all that, they found and located the information, and then they wanted to talk about academic success strategies. So they didn't really need to go to the next module here. They can go directly to page 4, academic success strategies. We're going to go to academic integrity unit, and again it's a supplemental unit to face-to-face section. I have the navigation video explaining what to expect on this unit. These are just a few academic integrity rules, so instead of putting all the academic rules in writing, I created a video, and this video highlights the academic integrity policies that are stated in all the ACE classes syllabi. So that should be easier for students to understand, and students would follow them. Again, some of the tips how to maintain academic integrity here, and this takes them to a quest. And that's very important to play this quest game, because if students don't play the games, they will miss half of the material that's on this page. And I'm even putting a disclaimer here that the discussion board and academic integrity quiz 1 and 2 would make sense if the students haven't done the quest. So they can click on the quest, and the quest would take them to the slideshow. And again, students did participate in that quest during the orientation session. So I just want to highlight so that's the quest. I want to highlight that the quest has different links. So these links would take students to the academic integrity reading. They can watch academic integrity video, again, ACE retreat slides, CAS presentation, and case study. So they would take them to case. Let's click on case 3. So it's taking me to the case that the students were doing this case study during the presentation. So that's why if students don't really click on this quest, they're really missing a lot of information. So it's relatively easy to miss, but that's why this module is not meant for online learning. It's meant for face-to-face instruction, really, and just there for students who have already participated in online learning. So I don't know what happened to my computer here, so I'm going back to my site. I'm trying to access it from here. Okay. So again, so we're back to the navigation page, and we can go to academic advising now. So again, so I have the same structure in every page, student learning outcomes, a navigation video that would tell students what to expect on this website. Each American English and Culture program is assigned to an ACE in-house academic advisor. So I'm starting with a short video of what the role of academic advisor is, and their information how to find the academic advisor. They talk about finding their academic advisor during the ACE orientation, but that's some information here to reinforce. And now we're going to advising learning units and assessments that were developed in collaboration with CAS Advising. And each of those buttons would take students to a new learning module. For example, let's click on 2A, Academic Overview, Liberal Learning, and Global Miami Plan. So it would take me to the new page with a new video that was developed by CAS, then again Global Miami Plan video, some of the diagrams, and more diagrams for students to learn. So I'm going back Actually, if I click next, I will get to the quiz that what students would need to take after this particular module. Okay, let me go back. So here are the modules, and the most important module for students is probably class selection and registration. So that's the module that students can complete on their own independently. It's an online module, and here I found a video. I didn't develop it, I just found it from the Farmer School of Business, and it's very detailed description of how to register for classes. And then I have some of the advising questions, some of the most frequently asked advising questions. Students might go and browse them, but they're more for their academic advisors. And finally, we go to the academic strategies module. Again, starting with the student's learning outcome, giving the navigation video here, and here are the academic success units. These are also the modules. Some of them were developed by Ranello Learning Centers, for example, preparing for tests and exams, stress and anxiety management, academic support resources, academic action. Some of them were designed in collaboration with Ranello Learning Center, like ACE programs and expectations, additional support resources. So each of those buttons would take students to a new module. For example, we click on academic action, and it will take us to the academic action module, or unit as I call them. So starting with different diagrams and what it means for you, and then again some of the links. So if I go back, it will take me to unit 1, and I'm going back to my page. So again, they are not designed to be taken in a particular sequence. It's more of a resource for students to learn, for students to select what they want to learn. Thank you for watching my presentation.